What's going on, everybody? You are listening to the Playing On podcast. My name is Carl Markowski, and thank you for joining me. I apologize for the stuffiness. The seasons are a-changin', and as it's getting colder, my sinuses seem to just expand and close my nasal passage to make it as hard as possible to breathe. So I apologize if I'm really crappy at the way I sound, but it is. I mean, the joys of living in the Midwest, and I just can't wait for practice in the 20-degree weather, or whatever the hell it's going to be, for the next 2 weeks, and then on top of that, going down and playing at World Cup at a totally different temperature and atmosphere. I'm sure that's not going to get me sick. That's going to be fun. But enough of my bitching. This episode is brought to you by Charm City Paintball. You guys have heard me talk about Mike and all of his quality headgear. I promise you, it's great stuff. He has right now he has some Gucci print that's going out. It's like Gucci print in between these kind of diagonal stripes. It's really cool looking. Go check it out. Charm City Paintball on Instagram as well as Facebook. Hit him up. He is also down for collabing with any teams or players for making some custom stuff. It's anything he makes is usually around 10 headbands or head wraps or less. So it's all limited runs. It's great quality. Great guy too, by the way. So hit him up, Mike at Charm City Paintball. Let him know that Carl from the Playing On podcast sent you over there. So, thanks, Mike. We are also brought to you by Carbon Paintball, the makers of the SC and CC line for packs, jerseys, pants. I wear the base layer. You guys have heard me talk about that as well. I'm a firm believer of if my knee pads and my elbow pads stay in place, I'm a happy camper. And with these carbon this carbon base layer, it does so. They do so. They stay in place. Anyway, it's been great. I mean, the compression gear is amazing. It's not constricting. It's breathable. My knee pads stay in place. It also has some hip protection. The top layer has the just the right amount of padding on the elbows. It's got a little bit on the ribs too, but it's great, man. It's a great company, Carbon Paintball. Make sure you guys check them out. If you do decide to go over there and pick up anything, make sure you use promo code capital TPOP, and you will get 10% off your entire order. And if you guys have any questions or inquiries about team sponsorship or products or anything like that, make sure you hit me up to Carl at carbonpaintball.com. Thank you to Carbon. And we are also brought to you by Planet Eclipse. Dude, Planet Eclipse coming out with the killer markers year after year. CS2 this year. It's early. I'm doing this at like 6 in the morning. So I'm a little out of it, but it shoots butter, and also the EMEC. If you guys haven't shot one of those, holy shit, those things shoot sweet. I enjoy thoroughly shooting that thing in all types of weather, in all types of scenarios. I'm still trying to convince Bruno to bring it out onto the tournament field at World Cup. We'll see how well that goes over. It's not working too well. But anyway, Planet Eclipse makes amazing stuff, and not only markers, but they also have all kinds of soft goods over at planeteclipse.com. And yeah, make sure you guys check them out. Great company, great people. Thank you, Planet. Thank you to all of our sponsors. This episode is with Patrick Gleason, also known as Paddy. He messaged me a while back, and kind of gave me a rundown, just saying that he had a cool story. I didn't really know who the guy was. He's one of the newest guys on Seattle Thunder, and I really did not know too much about him, other than I checked out his Instagram, and he's just lifting heavy things left and right, and he's just jacked. But yeah, he said he had a really interesting story, and I really needed to hear it. And after talking to him and doing this podcast, I was like, man, it's just crazy the different lifestyles and lives that people go through that you think you know about or you hear about, but man, until you hear it firsthand, you really have. It's tough to kind of get a grasp on the different lives that people live. And fortunately, he's doing amazing. He has completely turned his life around. I think this was a great podcast, and I had an amazing time. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. And this episode is with Patrick Gleason. What's up, man?
Nothing much, just trying to be the best version of me, man.
Every day.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. I'm living life, trying to figure out this Ohio weather right now. It's like, for the past couple days, it's been like 82 degrees and humid, and then tomorrow it's supposed to be like 59. And dude, Ohio, you get every single season all in 1 week, all the time.
I feel like that's how it is almost up here too. It's been an adjustment for sure.
Yeah.
It's like today was foggy, like you couldn't even see, and then by like 3 was sunny.
Well, you're where right now?
I'm in Renton, Washington. So
Gotcha.
About 15-20 minutes south of Seattle.
Okay. Are you a native of the Northwest? Pacific Northwest?
No, I'm born and raised on Maui.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So born and raised Maui, and then actually we just moved up here in February.
Oh, wow. So very recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been a crazy year, man. It's been crazy.
Yeah. So what is it like growing up on islands in the middle of the ocean and trying to play paintball and living in general?
Right. A lot of things. It's obviously great, like growing up and going to the beach, and I mean, same things, sports and stuff like that, but you're on an island. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like growing up, there's either two types of people. Like I had friends that were always going to be on the island. You know, that was their home. And then like my sister, she was out of there and she lives up here. So that's kind of like my ties to up here. But as soon as she was 18, she was gone. And then I got a little island fever too. So I needed to go and experience some things as well, which this isn't my first time off the island living, but it's fun. It's fun. Paintball's small on Maui.
Yeah.
I like probably in the early 2000s was the heyday of it, but it kind of died down, and then it's kind of like on a rebuilding right now. And Oahu has kind of a bigger scene.
Yeah. I've always wanted. That's on my bucket list, is to go to Hawaii. So
you should go. I just saw the dates next July for the Hawaiian Legends. They just had their first one this year, and I guess it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Big success, and so they're going to do it next year as well.
Well, I have a lot of opening time next year to be able to go to these random events everywhere.
I know, man. New beginnings, though.
It is. That's definitely how I'm looking at it. It's something that paintball means a lot to me. Obviously, if anybody who listens to the podcast hopefully can understand my passion for the sport and what it's meant to me and how it's kind of built my character, I feel. And I really I really wish I could give back to paintball as much as it's given to me, and so I'm not totally going to be going away from everything. I'm going to try and keep my toe dipped in the water. But yeah, I don't want to be tied down. Not that being the reason why I don't want to play paintball, being pro anymore or anything like that. It's just it's gonna be nice not to have certain obligations to do this and got to be here at this time and this and do this and make sure this, and rather than do I want to go there? Okay, I'll see if I can go. If I can't, no big deal. I'll spend some time with my family and maybe take another vacation that's not paintball or something. Which
is nice though, right? Having that option.
Oh, but yeah.
I think once you're in the game though, I don't think you ever truly leave. No. I don't know. In my experience, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I see so many people come and go and then take some years off. And I mean, I did that too, but, and then it's in your blood though. It's like,
oh yeah. Yeah. I just had a podcast yesterday with Sewers, and I was talking to him about, in 2000, end of 2009, halfway to 2013, I took this like hiatus.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, paintball wasn't a priority for me anymore. Not necessarily a priority. It's just there were higher priorities outside of the sport that needed to be taken care of and addressed. And now it's gotten to that point for me where it's like a for sure thing. I'm not getting any younger or anything like that. I still feel like I'm in great shape. I feel like I can keep up and everything. I just think it's just kind of that timing and that feeling of where, it's just something else is going on.
You can keep up, bro. You're fast as fuck. How's jiu-jitsu?
Oh, dude, I love it, man. Yeah. It's awesome.
Does that free up some time for you to kind of pursue that, or?
Yeah, actually, and me being as competitive as I am, just as a mindset, I plan on competing for sure in jiu-jitsu at some point. Right now, I'm just trying to absorb and learn as much as possible, and just kind of see where it takes me in my individual journey, anyway.
Right. Did you watch the fights this last weekend?
I did. So good.
It was pretty nuts.
It was. Jiu-jitsu wins.
Right.
I guess you can kind of say that.
It was a good one.
I wouldn't say that Connor was at his best. Like, not because he lost, but I mean just the kind of way that he held himself. So before the fights, I went back and I watched Khabib's couple fights before this, and then I went back and I watched Connor's couple fights before this. And I watched a couple of Connor's fights where he was dumb, like the Eddie Alvarez fight. I feel like that fight, everything was landing. He just had this. You could sense the in the ring confidence, or in the octagon confidence, not just like talking shit or anything like that. Like when he was standing up, he was throwing with intent. He was landing everything, and you could tell just by his whole just swagger and everything. And if he was going to do anything against Khabib, it was going to be he needed to land those shots that he was just uncharacteristically missing.
I don't think he showed up at all. And if you don't show up, then that's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I was listening to Rogan's podcast, and it was, thinking about it too. Yeah, it's been 2 years since he's fought. And that's a big timeline. And we can even, segue that back into paintball. I mean, that's, from me missing the end of 2009 to 13, that's a big gap to try and fill and catch up on everything, because the game changes
so much
every year, every 2 years or whatever it is. But it's a very short lifespan of like things that we're trying to change in the sport to see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I took a break probably between 2008 and 13ish, and when I came back, everything was different.
So we almost took the same hiatus.
Yeah,
on the same time.
Yeah, it was about that time, and when I came back, I was like, "Yeah, this shit's dope."
Yeah. Dude, one of the main things that got me hooked was watching when the webcast kicked on.
Yeah,
when the webcast started and PB Access kind of started going, I was like, "This is what fucking needed to happen." like, a web series or something, and actually, telling the paintball story of competitive paintball, how it should be told. And I was like,
Well,
I want to be a part of this.
I love that too, because coming from Maui, that's like the window into your world. And that's
Right.
why I appreciate like the podcast and stuff like that, because I was listening to it over there, and we don't have as much of it. And so like, besides like when I grew up, I was watching all the videos, and
Mm-hmm.
that was our little window into this world that's like felt so far away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like watching all the pros, like we didn't get to grow up watching the pros at our local field. So
Mm-hmm.
like the webcast, your podcast, even back then the videos, like that was kind of like how we kind of kept up to date. So
Yeah.
when my came back and the webcast was on, yeah, this is legit.
Yeah, dude, it was cool. It definitely helped motivate me into wanting to get back into the sport again, and kind of lit a fire under my ass.
Nice.
So let's talk about yourself a little bit. Let's because I personally don't know really too much about you. You're familiar. I'm more of a face guy. Names, I'm so bad at names, but like if I see somebody that I recognize, I go, oh yeah, I recognize you. I know who you are.
Right on.
And you're definitely familiar, but I don't know. There's so many people that come in and out of this sport, and so few I feel that kind of you stick around and you see. What's your story, man? What on Maui? How did you find paintball, and where does that begin?
Yeah. And I don't blame you. I don't think a lot of people know about me.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's kind of like a sleeper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I like that. Yeah, where to even start? So I started back in 98, 99.
Oh wow.
So I'm your age too. I'm 32. And started back in like the 6th grade, and
that young.
Yeah. Well, there's not much to do, man. So if there's an activity to do, we're going to do it.
You jump on it, yeah.
And oh man, no, my first time was for a birthday party, and it was hilarious. Like I was with my friend, and his dad was the old football coach for one of the high schools. And so we went out to this abandoned, like, we called it a highway, but it's basically just a 2-lane road that had this bridge and like had a gulch and stuff. And so we were just playing in that area, and he had the football helmets, and he put this like fine grate like chicken wire over the masks of it.
Yeah.
And then just playing with the old school plastic talons.
Yeah.
The pump guns.
Super
and
safe.
So that was my first experience. That's how we roll. That's how we roll in Hawaii, man. Like
Oh,
and so me and my friend were in 6th grade, and then his brother was in high school, and we were playing against them. And I remember like to this day, like it was yesterday, the one shot that got me hooked. And like we were playing one-on-ones, and my friend's brother was running like across the gulch, and I had the talon, and I pumped it, I let it go, and I seen the thing curve, and it hit him right smack in the chicken wire.
Oh, jeez.
After that, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And then so growing up, I have a lot of friends that did the surfing and skating, and that that was kind of big during our time growing up. And so, but then after paintball, that kind of like took hold of my life. I used to skate, play soccer, baseball, all the sports, but paintball kind of just took over. And I wanted to do it. I wanted to pursue it. So I graduated in 04.
Yeah.
And at that time, Dynasty was just doing some of their clinics. It was like one of the first couple of clinics that they've done. And it was at Hollywood Sports Park, I think, in California. And so I like begged my dad to go, and he took me, and I did a clinic, and I wanted to, like, after high school, go and pursue trying to go pro.
Yeah.
And so after high school, I went to Vegas, and I used to play for this team.
You were living in Vegas?
Yeah, after high school, I went to UNLV. So I was living at the dorms there, and I used to play for this team, Cane Fire, which was one of the biggest teams in Hawaii at the time.
Yeah.
And our old coach had connections with Aaron Carter. Um,
From Backstreet Boys?
no, from Die.
I don't know why that was the first thing I thought. It's like he's involved in paintball? What?
I don't know, Aaron Carter, who used to be involved with Die. Like, he used to make the ducks. I think that's what they're called, the old pump guns.
Again, I'm so bad with names.
But so he had some connections in Vegas, and I started playing with them. I think it was like the Splat Factory team back then. And then, but me being me, I got kicked out of UNLV and ended up in Eugene, Oregon.
Not a bad spot.
So, yeah, I had a lot of fun there, and Eugene, Oregon started playing with this team, Fearless, which was the owner of Diamond Hill Paintball now, Audrey, or partners with Corey. Her son used to play for that team, so that's kind of like how we got hooked up with Corey. Like I've known Corey now for 10 or 12 years.
I'm sorry. All love, Corey. All love.
The struggle.
He's good. He's such a good dude. Yeah.
But no, so that team, this was in 06-ish, 07. That team was going to fall apart, but then Naughty Dog Silver was going to have some tryouts, and I was trying out, and then that's kind of like when my life was just out of control.
This is what, like 06, 07?
Yeah, about 06, between 06 and 08, yeah. It's a blur now. I don't really remember 18 to 25. So
yeah, just a
that
lot of just personal stuff that was going on that was outside of paintball.
Yeah, so I'm in recovery, if just from heroin addiction, and
Really?
So that's kind of like a big part of my story as well, which hopefully we can come back to and like kind of tie it in. But yeah,
absolutely. And
then so I stopped from there. So I was kind of like knocking at the doorstep, but then had to take care of, life stuff, and ended up moving back to Maui, just to kind of get grounded again. Right. And then back into the sport right around 2013-ish, and kind of just been on a journey from there. And like, it's kind of crazy. I was looking at my APPA before I started with you, just to kind of like refresh a little bit. And like if someone looked at that, they'd be like, what is this dude doing in pro?
What's your first three? Because my first three is 892.
Oh man. Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Because I know every time somebody looks at mine and goes, you only have 3 numbers in the beginning of your, I was like, yeah, doesn't everybody? Like, no, not everybody. Just a bunch of old people do. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks.
I don't know. I know I created it back in 06-ish, around that time. Because there
needs to be a new system. I feel like we've been using that system forever. Not that it's terrible, but it's not great by any means.
They tried to revamp it too, yeah, and it's like still the same.
Still the same. Still terrible. Like, still to navigate the APBA website, even though I have not been on there. I've logged on to that thing probably twice, maybe 3 times. But those times have been terrible to navigate. I'm sorry. I just had to bitch about that a little bit.
It's kind of just there. Like, I really don't pay attention to it at all that much either.
We're forced to use it.
Yeah. And the point system, it's whatever. Like for me, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just looking at it, and it's like I have like a handful of national events, and then I'm just like D4 pro.
Yeah.
And and then so after, like, I got back into it, to kind of wrap that up, after I got back into it, I kept in touch with Corey the whole time. Like, he knew my story. And I had to get some things settled back then, or back home, and he's like, when you get up here, like, let's get it. And then so finally the stars started to align at the end of last year, and then Thunder was picking up some people at the end of the season last year, and he called me up.
What were you doing last year as far as paintball wise?
Last year I was, that's a good question. We hit like a WCPPL in the beginning of the year, me and the boys that I was rolling with, and then they kind of fell apart, and I spent all last year training and doing drills on Maui.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Corey, just by your friendship and knowing Corey, he was kind enough to offer you a tryout to see if you guys could hang. And
yeah, he took a big risk. I know that one of the things with Corey is that he likes to bring up people to learn how to play pro. And then so, I think it's just I have a crazy mindset and like mentality with things now. And like heart, I just won't quit.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this season has been, definitely a learning curve, but with the way that like I'm just persistent with it and the things that have happened, it's like it's not out of my reach, so I just make it happen.
Yeah. You make it no other choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I tell James Arnatoff on our team all the time, because he was coming up. This is his first year, season pro, and I was just like, man, we didn't make it this far to only make it this far. That was kind of like my mantra with him today, or like just this season, and it's been so fun. It's been fun, man.
Yeah, dude, I hear you, man. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Aftershock. I feel that Thunder is kind of going through is everybody's counting us out. But at the same time, it's like I like that. I like not having the eyes and the pressure all the time, and and with that, people doubting you, and everyone's like, all I have to do is prove you wrong. And I can go back. Like you guys obviously were able to put the pieces together and to be able to play on Sunday. I feel like if we would have won the extreme game and made a few tweaks to the X Factor game, I feel like we could have played on Sunday as well. It's teams like us that people count out that I feel like we could still win a tournament. I don't count us out on not winning not winning a tournament, and that's what makes it fun playing for these teams. Like obviously, I want to win tournaments. I'd want to win championships. But sometimes you just have to play the hand that has been dealt to you in a way. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to play it like everybody else does. Perspective, right? Everybody sees things differently, and you can either look at it like, oh, I'm on this team that's like not doing that well, and poor me, and bullshit, or you can go out and just say, fuck everybody. I'm here to play paintball and to play my best, and just go out there no matter what anybody says. And
I think there's only a select few too that kind of thrive in that type of situation and like love to just rise to the occasion. And you're definitely one of them, and watching you with your squad, I've always been a fan of Aftershock as well. And it's like Thunder, just now from stepping back, like maybe if I was, still just a fanboy, Thunder and Aftershock were always like, I always rooted for like the underdogs because knocking on the doorstep. It's like, I was watching you play with, I think it was the X Factor game, and you had the nastiest shot. You were crawling up the snake, and you had the one ball into someone's back that was in the Doritos tower.
I think it was Archie.
I think it was, bro. And I was just like, oh my god, that was so nasty.
and then like a dum-dum, I tried to stand up and just shoot. I tried to shoot Billy from the inside, and I should have just ran him down. And obviously, afterwards, I'm kicking myself.
I was hanging out kind of right by your pits, and Bruno was right there. He had some choice words.
I know. Because he was thinking the same thing that I thought when I came back. I was like, I should have just ran him down. He goes, you should have just fucking ran him down. I was like, I know. And yeah, I remember that. It was, see, and you know, I even got flack from the guys on my team. Like, why didn't you light that guy up in the tower? I would have just shot him to pieces. I was like, because if I would have shot him to pieces, then I would have been too worried about shooting him and putting more pain into him rather than the next step, kind of a thing. And also I feel like
I'm a fan of the one ball, man.
Yeah, I know, dude. It felt so good. I was like, I'm just gonna put one right in the center of your back.
It was so dirty. It's so dirty.
It's so fun. It's little shit like that, man, that makes paintball fun to me. Like I don't have to like blow people's heads off. Like if I can make shots like that and do, you know, just do my little kind of things that I do, that's what makes it fun, and that's what I want to do.
Well, that makes you an individual.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
In a sport where everybody is put on this same level, meaning everybody has a ramping gun, everybody can shoot left-handed with one finger, and you know everybody has this kind of level playing field kind of thing. But when back in the day, everybody used to have their own personality, used to wear all the crazy colors and loader stickers. That's what I miss, man. I miss the crazy loader stickers, the different color goggles, and you know, it was such a different world back then, and now it's just so, I feel, cut and dry, and it's hard to kind of make your own, not necessarily make your own way, but kind of stand out.
Yeah.
Without looking like a robot.
Mm-hmm. I miss all the, yeah. Well, that's why I like the podcast too. It's like, because it does get washed out sometimes, but listening to the people that come onto the podcast, you get that little vibe of who they are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You miss it.
That's why I enjoy doing this, because otherwise, unless people follow you, and even people following you on Instagram or anything like that, it's not like they still really have a good grasp of who you are. And I feel like in an hour and a half, 2 hour or 1 hour conversation, I feel like people can actually get a good idea of your views and how you think about things and your thoughts and everything, and really get sometimes even closer than, you know, pictures you post or something like that, you know, because I know people can look at my Instagram and maybe think something totally different of me, or even meeting me at events or meeting yourself at events or anything like that. But like having an actual conversation rather than like a 2-second, hey man, nice to meet you, all right, I gotta go. You know, it's that's why I love this platform.
Strictly a highlight reel on social media, you know.
Yeah, I know, right? Right? It's like I'll post pictures of playing paintball and I get a bunch of views, and then I post a picture of like my family and it's like 50 likes. Like, this is my life. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I have fun. I have fun on Instagram too, though. I just post all my workouts, and I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're a madman, dude. Have you ever thought of doing any kind of like physical, or what is your occupation?
I work at so I recently switched my careers up this year as well, and I'm about a couple of weeks away from getting my personal training license.
Makes sense.
And I work at a wellness center that does physical therapy, like massage therapy, registered dietitians, and then they also have their fitness side. And then I'll be a coach and personal training over there.
Nice. What were you doing before that? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Substance abuse counseling.
Oh, so cool. So you kind of had a 180 from each side of the fence on that one. Yeah.
So I last 5-6 years I've worked with adult and adolescent populations, and just kind of last year, but it was more a couple years, was just kind of getting burnt out from it, especially with my own recovery. It was just so much substance abuse kind of stuff that I just had to take a break.
There was no filter.
No, there was no separation.
Crazy.
So yeah, I mean, with that, that comes from a very personal like side of me as well, where I started using young, at like 12, right around when I started playing.
Really?
And yeah,
Did it go along with paintball? Like, was it in that kind of paintball area, or was it more
it may have
outside of
been
that?
just the extreme sports part of it, and it's very much in the culture back home.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely like smoking weed and stuff like that. It's just
There's
part of the
nothing wrong with
culture.
that.
Well, I mean, it is when it leads up
Well,
to
yeah.
whatever I was doing.
Yes.
No, I don't hate on it at all either. But I started young, and then it just kind of progressed into heroin. I mean, I think that was just my personality. So by the time I was 18 or 19, maybe 19-ish, was using heroin IV,
Hmm.
and did that for a few years. And that's when kind of like that whole thing with like when I was trying out with the dogs, I went to one practice, and then I remember it was like a 2-day thing, and I never went to the second practice, and I actually never picked up a gun after that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, yeah, that was just a road that took me down to dark places, but then now, also made me who I am today.
I mean, do you think it's more? Do you think it's more not necessarily your flaw of you know being addicted to something? Do you think it's more of like a human nature thing of looking for that thrill or that high on whatever it is, whether it be drugs or
Hmm.
of extreme anything? Do you think it's just more human nature, and you just kind of more lean towards that kind of addiction?
Yeah, for sure. I was always had addictive like personalities
Hmm.
towards stuff, one track mind towards things, impulsive, uh, took things to the limit, excess,
Yeah.
like it was always, yeah, with paintball. It was like, I mean, even now, I mean, even though I've been clean for 7 years
Yeah.
or almost 7 years, my mind still like goes all or nothing,
Right.
so I can, but now having the knowledge of what I have, I can recognize it and like use healthy coping skills to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even with my fitness, like I go hard, until I'm exhausted, and my wife has to like tell me to back off,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's definitely maybe not for everyone's human nature, but in
Hmm.
my human nature, definitely. I mean, we have some abuse or drug abuse in the family
Yeah.
as well. So I definitely think people that have that are not necessarily guaranteed it, but are more susceptible to it.
Yeah. My biological father was an addict, and I was probably, man, I want to say maybe 10 years old, 10 or 11 years old, and we were at my father's visiting for rice. He left us when we were young, and was gone for a few years. Came back, was gone for a few years. Came back and everything, and we were eventually had some kind of visitation with him, and
Mm,
we were at his place. And my sister and I, we were messing around, just kind of going through his new place or whatever. Opened up a drawer, and there was a giant plate full of Coke.
mm,
And
mm-hmm,
I was pretty naive when I was young. I didn't really know what it was. Went back to my mom's and told her about it. The next thing you know, he's going back to jail, this and that. Now he's out of prison again, trying to make contact with me, and which he's been clean for some years now. But I've been. There's a lot of people in my family that have addiction issues,
mm,
and that have paid the price because of it, and of other things, and it's weird how I can see the same thing in me. It might not be that bad of things that I'm addicted to, but I think everybody has everybody has that little tendency to be
mm-hmm,
addicted to something,
mm-hmm,
and I think it has to do with like environment. Definitely with influences on
mm-hmm.
myself, whether it be a father, friend, anything like that. And it's so tough. It's for people on the outside too who are like, well, how about you just not do it, or how about you just
Mm-hmm.
don't put yourself in that situation. I was like, it's not that easy. Like I've never been to that situation where I've you know me personally, I've never done a drug that doesn't grow out of the ground. Or you know what I mean? I've never done pills. I've never done anything like that. I've always experienced anything that's organic, if you wanna say it that way. But I think I've kind of used my father in a way to know what I don't want to be.
Yeah.
And that really helped me out growing up on knowing where maybe some of these roads go. But that's so much easier said than done. And I know there's a lot of kids and even a lot of paintball players who struggle with things like that because everybody's human. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. For sure, I wanted to get your story and you know, I love talking to people. But when you kind of told me about that little side note, I think it's so important to bring a light to this, to let people know that there are ways out. Everybody deals with some kind of a problem, whether it be addiction or family relationships or financial issues, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There
is. And two things with that. One, I mean, it's beautiful that you were able to recognize that, you know, in your father and not do that. And then so now your son doesn't have to see that, you know, and that you can break the cycle that way. And two, definitely, if anything can be taken away just from this podcast, if it can help one person, you know,
absolutely,
give them hope, then that's all we can ask for, you know. Hopefully just bring a little bit of light, because there is a lot of, even in this sport or just around, you know, addiction is taking lives all over, especially with the opioid addiction.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a hard one to break. But yeah, if I can just be a beacon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then that's cool.
And that's, in Ohio, actually, the Ohio, I think it's primarily even the northwest of Ohio area is like the number one heroin overdose
really
capital, I think, right now. It's ridiculous, dude. Every week we hear a story going down. Every single week. And it's just, I don't know, man. I don't get it.
It's fucking sad.
It is. Yeah. It's terrible. And a lot of the stories are a couple that overdose in a vehicle with a kid or multiple kids in the back. And people are just walking up and finding these people. I'm like, oh my God. Like what are these people going through? Because so many will instantly go to you know, oh my God, these people are terrible and this and that. It's like, yeah, I mean, there is something wrong, but you don't know their story. Like, I'm not trying to defend them in any way. I'm really not. But I'm also not in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously they're putting a kid in danger, which I am just completely against. But you can't. I like giving people benefit of the doubt. You know, and not I don't really want to do it in that situation, but I'm saying it's just we need to do something. Like we're doing something wrong, or we're not doing something enough to give people opportunity or the information or something. We can't just throw everybody away because they need help.
I think it's, especially in this time of day, it's really easy to kind of point fingers and blame and.
Absolutely.
You know, say what's best. But that's, I think, was very privileged of me to work in that field for the amount of time that I did, meeting and seeing people that have lived on the fringe of either addiction and trying to get clean, and seeing their true colors and stuff. Like, there's so many good people out there that have this addiction, and it's a sickness, you know. It kind of just takes over, and you're not the same person. You're definitely not the same person. So it's like, it's hard to judge people for that. But at the same time, I can see how people can easily, you know, want to judge and point fingers at them. Yeah.
And, you know, and one thing that did kind of keep me out of trouble too, and got me into a lot of trouble, was paintball. And that doesn't mean that that I didn't put myself in certain situations in paintball, because I mean, we all know, especially with you being the same age and kind of the same generation and everything, I mean, paintball players and parties are crazy. There's a lot of situations that you don't want to put yourself in, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, I just want to go hang out, I just want to do this. And there have been plenty of situations throughout my career and going to the, you know, different parties or gatherings or whatever, and things have been present, and I could have easily done something. But it's like, it's such a, it's I said it before, you know, it's so much easier said than done. Like, you just kind of, you gotta put yourself into a different situation, especially you now. I can't imagine being in your shoes and being a previous addict and then being put in a situation like that. Like, the
it's
mindset,
not so bad,
you know?
anymore now.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
not saying that you would have
my first couple of years.
Yeah.
It was, I definitely stayed away from everything. I was a hermit for a bit because I didn't trust myself.
Right.
You know, I remember, so when I moved back from Oregon, I kicked cold turkey, and I mean, that was an experience in itself, you know. If anyone has kicked heroin cold turkey, it's not a fun experience. And then relapsed on oxys a couple months later, and then kicked that cold turkey again while working 7 days a week. And then so I had my mom like drop me off at work, pick me up, because I mean, and I used to work in restaurants.
Yeah.
And so like that is just, you know, seeded with all kinds of shenanigans. And I didn't trust myself. And then so for the first 2 years, I was kind of just a hermit. You know, I went to meetings and stuff like that. But it was a lot of time just spent fixing myself.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Self-recognition.
Self-love.
Yeah.
You know, I think that anyone that is in the depths and grips of addiction has lost some love, or a lot of love, for themselves. And so I spent the first 2 years just finding that back, which right around that time, paintball started to creep back into my life. And so that was huge for me, to recognize and like remember that I had this dream, and that now that I was getting better and like reinventing myself, that I could kind of in I don't know, such a dreamer state, but I was like, I should give it a shot again.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I'm gonna so I wrote down my goals. You know, I did a lot of like this, like, you know, call it hippie or whatever, but like manifesting stuff. And like, I just was, I don't know, for me, paintball is a very spiritual process.
Yeah.
I don't know if that can resonate with anybody, but like, it's such a, I mean, there's magic in it. I don't know. For me, like, paintball, there's just magic in the sport. The relationships that you share with people. I mean, like, doing this with you, like, you told me that I was going to do this, you know, a year ago even, I would have been like, get out of here, man. Like, no way.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, yeah, this year has been a trip, bro. Like, I got married in February.
Congrats.
Thank you. That was another gift of life, you know, from being clean. Started playing pro. Vegas was right after our wedding, or we moved.
Yeah.
We got married. We moved. Vegas was right around the corner from there. So I played my first pro tournament. Finished my bachelor's in psychology. Started switching up my career. Like, all of this has happened in 2018. And so it's just been like a wild ride. But like, when I can kind of take a step back, it's beautiful, man. I mean, doing it clean. So it's just like, if that can just like inspire someone to do the same, like, don't be afraid of change, you know, because it changes, in my experience, has always been good.
Yeah.
Especially for you. I mean, like, you're retiring soon, like, may have some fears of what's gonna come, but like, it's all good, man. Like, doors open up that you couldn't even believe, man.
Yeah, dude, life, for me, I always say life is full of choices that you have no choice in choosing. It's kind of like there's so many things that go into your life that you feel like you're in control of that it's just you're not. Like I think about it every morning when I'm driving to work. I'm like yeah, I chose to get into the car and everything like that, but what if this car next to me chose to just like run into me, or you know, or a cat runs out in front of me and slows me down from getting on my truck, and there ends up being an accident, or like there's so many things going on that you think you made this choice to be here. And you know, the whole saying that life is just one big buildup of all of your choices. Like, they're not your choices, man. They're not. You have these thoughts. You have these thoughts and everything, and you might point yourself in a direction, but there's a lot of choices that are made that have nothing to do with you, and then you're here. So it's like there's definitely, it's like how you were saying, like paintball is kind of it's a very spiritual thing, and you manifest these things and you have these feelings, and I feel like it's all kind of like you've obviously have done run-throughs before. You know that whole gut feeling and that whole timing thing that happens. I feel like that's life, and that's kind of how you should, like, you know, right from wrong. You know, and you go through these experiences, especially being young, you know, and everybody goes through this. And even, you know, if you're young, 20 something, and you're listening to this, you're gonna think you know everything, and then you're gonna grow up and you're gonna be like, what the fuck? And I'm sure my dad said the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just kind of that knowing how to guide yourself, like we said too, is like not having any control, but knowing how to guide yourself. And if you just kind of, if you have those good intentions, and you know, like, I'm not a very big religious person. I know I'm huge into the paranormal. I love paranormal shit. I love old stuff. I've had so many experiences. I love the shit. But I'm not big on religion or anything like that. But I'm huge on do unto others. You know, as you want to be treated, and just with respect. If I don't think you deserve my respect, it doesn't mean I'm not going to treat you like shit. I'm just not going to give you any respect until it's earned. But that doesn't mean you have to work for it or anything. It's just be a good fucking person. And you know, but dude, yeah, it's so many people. There's so many different journeys that everybody's on, and it's cool to hear your story and how this season is playing out, especially last event. How Chicago's been playing out, and it's another thing of hard work, and maybe the right field, and the guys being put in the right positions. It's just everything's just a matter of time.
Yeah, we've been grinding, man. I felt like, obviously we had the teams that came up from semi-pro this year, rookie teams, but I definitely feel like we kind of could have been categorized as that too, because we had 4 people never played pro before. Right. And then, you even have the semi-pro teams that bumped up, they've been playing with each other all last season and stuff. And like this season, we never played with each other, so we had to, learn how to gel. Like the first couple of events were such shit shows. It was like, what? Especially for me, I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. But like kind of getting my bearings, and last event was to see like a little taste. We needed that. We needed a little taste of like a payoff of how our hard work has been, and I feel like it began in AC. We kind of broke through a little barrier, and I was telling the guys like that, okay, so we broke through that barrier, we've raised our experience to another level, so now we just got to build off of that. Right. And then so now with Chicago, we really set the bar high, but we've gotten that experience, so now let's raise, level up from there. And Chicago was a trip, man. To get, and all due respect, but to get some W's against like Dynasty and Infamous, and coming from a boy from Maui, I was like out of body. I was just like, hell yeah. Just to like flash back to when I did the Dynasty camp, and then, flash forward to Chicago, I was just like, man, what a trip. What a trip.
Well, it feels good to play and beat players that are very good. And a team that is very good. And Dynasty, and Dynasty is a very nostalgic team, And even though they might not have the roster that they did, I mean, they had back in the day when we were coming up and everything, they still have a roster that can beat anybody out there. And to beat a team like that is very uplifting, for sure. And to have a performance like you guys did, I mean, that's fuel for the fire, man.
Yeah, definitely just fuel for the fire. Yeah, and no, I'm not trying to take away from anyone, but just being a fanboy and then I mean, I was playing D4 last year, man.
Yeah.
And to come to this year and be doing it feels real good. It feels really cool as well.
So what do you feel in the pro league? Do you sense a difference? I mean, do you have to sense some kind of difference coming from D4 playing pro? I mean, what is the most significant difference that you notice from your jump?
So I feel like I've been playing for a really long time anyway. So paintball is paintball,
Right.
in my point of view. What has really been challenging with jumping up to pro level is one, the mental game,
Right.
which is one that I like to play. I like to push myself mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And two, just the balance. I was telling Corey, and we've had discussions about this because this year has been up and downs, just the balance, because we're not getting paid for it,
Right.
and so this obligations to fly places or go to places for practice and just kind of, and then balancing a new marriage. It's more been paintball with my other life.
Yeah.
That's kind of been the struggle. I haven't really when I view of what a professional athlete should be doing, and a lot of us, I feel maybe fall short. That's why I train so hard, because I can't make it out to the field 5 days a week, but I gotta be doing something that's going to progress me towards the destination that I want to be, the image of who I want to be. I have to do something, right?
Yeah.
And so just the image of what I had for a professional player doesn't match up, if that makes any sense. So finding the balance of juggling paintball with my daily life has been probably the hardest part.
Do you see it as interfering with your everyday life?
No, not interfering. It's just been I don't really know.
And you know why? Do you know why
I guess you could say almost interfere. I don't know.
Well, and kind of why I say that, because and I talked a little bit about this with Greg, is that something needs to happen, right? Mm-hmm. It's I think players are taken for granted. I think pro players are taken for granted. I think a lot of team owners and a lot of the people in charge, I think they count on people and players coming up to just enjoy the nostalgia of being a pro player and not complaining when they're getting gear for free, flights for free and everything. But that's the compensation for playing pro. And I feel like anywhere else, when you make it to a certain level in something, they're compensated, and there is some kind of payoff or something. Dude, you're going to a tournament where the refs are getting paid more than you are. Mm. You know what I mean? And I guess some people can look at it, well, dude, you're getting gear and this and that. I was like, dude, everybody's getting gear. It's not like I need gear to play. And if I'm playing on a pro team, that's it. But I think a lot of people, a lot of team owners, and a lot of companies, I'm not pointing out any companies, but a lot of them are, because nobody's paying the players except for the teams that have the budget to do so. And everybody else is just, well, here's this to get by, which is gear and airfare, maybe. Right. So it's And I think that's why the reason I say interfere, because I know paintball brings us a ton of joy, a fuck ton of joy, if I may. But unless you do something about it, unless you start working in the industry, or you start doing something to produce money besides playing the sport itself, I don't want to say interfere, but it's almost like that, because in the end, you're beating up your body, but you're doing this thing that you love to do, but then you gotta go home and be like, well, we couldn't pull it off, or or this or that, and you have these times missed, you have these memories, but it's like, people who make pro and other things, it's like that's the livelihood. And I feel like there's so many people that just shut it down, going, you're never going to make money playing pro, you're never going to do this, never going to do that. And I think people have started to believe that, and now it's something that I've been trying to bring back up and be like, how can we make that different? How can we introduce insurance now to players, or how can we start incentivizing teams to pay their players? I have a few things up my sleeve with some other people, but it's like that's one of the main questions we're trying to do, because we want to get it to the main public, but at the same time trying to get paintball in the eyes of people who should be seeing it, who could pay these bills and possibly turn over the sport, but also start thinking about maybe players in the league first. I mean, does that make sense? Because I feel like we're the ones that are driving this whole thing, and the league counts on it.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. And I listen to your podcast all the time, and it's a reoccurring theme. And
I know.
I also feel like I'm a rookie to the pro bracket, so I don't really. I'm just having fun. Like, I'm just kind of sitting back enjoying my first year. Mm-hmm. And I didn't mean like to interfere. I don't think it interferes, but like we're 32. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not young 20s anymore, where I can have not a worry in my life and just like, right. Oh, I'm going to play paintball. I have other stuff going on, and right. So the juggling act, I think, to answer your question about what's the difference, the juggling act has been a lot more complex. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but it was even before I got married, I told my wife, I was like, this is something I have to do. Like, this was something like on my list of things to do that I need to just try and do. And so it's like, whatever it is, like, kind of going back to also, we don't really make plans. What are plans? Because right. I feel like this has just been my journey. Like, if I wasn't supposed to be here when I was 25, or when I was like 18, 20, then I'm supposed to be here now, because I'm in the best shape of my life right now. I'm a lot more responsible. I have so much other things going on that I was probably given these traits or learned these characteristics so I can handle like this type of situation.
Right.
But as far as like the image of being a pro, I would like to get compensated, obviously, but I also hate that I can only practice with my gun when the field's open on the weekends. Mm-hmm. Where I feel like a professional athlete should be working on their craft 5-6 days out of the week.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, so that would also be really cool. So I gotta just win the lottery.
Yeah, or get picked up by Impact, Houston Heat, or yeah, because that's the thing. It's like, now you have all these kids. They don't want to play. You have these kids who don't want to play for a local pro team. They want to play for Impact, or they want to play for Houston Heat because they know they're going to get paid when they go there. When if that was just across the board, we had players getting paid once they made pro, it wouldn't be like that. And I feel like players and teams would be that much more competitive and cohesive with each other if they were able to go, hey man, this is we're getting paid to do this. Let's get together 2-3 times a week, and then on weekends or whatever. And I think that's the tough thing too with paintball, is that it's not like with jiu-jitsu. If I wanted to, I can go Monday through Friday. Right now, I go 3 times a week. But if I wanted to, I can go 5, and then I have a weekend open. Mm-hmm. Paintball is a weekend thing, and that's a big thing of why the retirement's coming into play. Is a weekend time for me is starting to become more family time
with your kid, man.
And family oriented, and and that's what means the most to me right now. And it's just it's weird because a lot of the guys who play, for those top teams, they have the opportunity to play during the week if they wanted to. And I feel like if a lot of the other teams had that opportunity too, we would see a lot more competitive paintball. We wouldn't see such a big kind of seesaw on each end, because we're always trying to win a tournament whenever we go to one. Even though if we're in last place or whatever it is, we're going to win a tournament. Oh yeah. But I think we'd be more consistent if we had that same kind of opportunity.
Yeah, and just a quick side note, shout out to all the paintball families that kind of stick with us through this. Oh my God. I mean, they just they hold it down. Just side note, but yeah.
Well, I've missed so many weddings of families and gatherings, and that's being older now, and looking back, like I obviously wouldn't change. I wouldn't change a thing because I am where I am right now, but I almost feel bad now. Like back then, it was kind of like, oh, I feel bad, but I got a tournament to go to and this and that. And then, but like now I think about it, and you think about how short life is, and it's like, man, I wish I was there for my sister, or like this or that, or like I was across the country. Like I think a lot about when my brother was growing up. So my sister and I are about 1.5 years apart, and then my half brother is, let's see, he is I think he's 26. So yeah, he's like 6 years apart right now, and during the time of when I probably should have been kind of teaching him how to become a man and everything, and grow up and teach him things, I moved from Ohio over to Seattle and was pursuing like my career. And I mean, I don't want to call it selfish because everybody needs to pursue their own thing. But at the time I look at him, I was like, man, I wish I could have been there for him too. Because, and I think about it now, and I'm like, all these things that I've missed because I've wanted to pursue my thing. But yeah, I guess just getting older, you kind of think more about other things.
Totally, man. I checked myself out for 7 years of my life to fucking do dope. You know what I mean? So like getting out of the fog of that, a lot of that guilt comes up, man. And so, but you work through it. I don't know. Life is funny like that. I mean, but one thing kicks me, man, is like you always talk about how old you are, and I'm like, I'm right there, man, too. It's like I don't feel that old, dog. Like
no, yeah, dude.
I'm ready.
on the inside, I don't feel that old, but my knees are telling me how old I am. I'm like, yep, I remember that. I know how that feels. And it's just I can't do it. I mean, if I fuck my knee up on a weekend, I can't go to work, and if I don't go to work, I don't get paid. And it's like one of those. It's like that. It's almost like that. Like let's say you go to a tournament. This is your first year. You're excited to play pro, this and that, and you're getting paid to play. You're getting things taken care of. I don't know your situation or anything like that, but let's say you hurt yourself. Paintball's not going to come to your help and be like, can we help pay your medical bill, or can we help compensate your time off of work? Like, no, like that's not how it works. If you get fucked up at a tournament or something happens, hopefully your 9 to 5 has insurance, and you're gonna
medical,
exactly, and then hopefully your 9 to 5, your day job, can understand why you hurt yourself on some hobby during the weekend. So that's more of kind of maybe I'm why I use the term interfere. Because if something, let's say, bad happens, I mean, God forbid something bad happens, it fucks up your normal everyday life, not this fantasy paintball life that we live.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's paintball. It's unforgiving.
It's
It is what it is.
Paintball. I mean, yeah. It's a trip.
Yeah, I try not to complain too much about my age because I mean I feel young too, man. Like with jiu-jitsu now, I feel like I'm in good shape.
That's good.
Jiu-jitsu is definitely not as hard on my knees as I thought it was going to be, especially compared to paintball anyway.
Do you do any type of other training too?
No, just jiu-jitsu. I've never been really big on going to the gym or doing anything like that. Like I've always just been active. I've always just been wanted to do something, keep active, go for long walks in like this kind of probably sounds weird, but my wife and I, we enjoy taking walks in cemeteries.
Dude, I know that.
Yeah.
It's so peaceful.
Oh, it's such a peaceful feeling.
The vibe is cool. I don't know. We've done that a few times. I got you.
Yeah, we do it all the time when we're taking pictures and we're like, people probably think we're weird just what. But we have this one where it's a super old school cemetery, but it kind of sits off from the street. It's pretty big too, but like just kind of walking through and like just reading the names and the dates and everything, and it puts you in this weird mindset, you know, of this like mortal mindset of where you're
like a gratitude almost.
Absolutely,
too.
Absolutely, because you're reading somebody who lived 92 years old, and they were born in 1856 or some shit, and they were 92. And then you go over here and you read, a 2-year-old who was born in 95. You know, and you go through all these things, and all these emotions kind of run over you as you're kind of walking through. And then I have my son there, and I have my pregnant wife, and we're all just kind of walking through, and it's a weird. And I'm thinking about it now. It's kind of to get me all emotional. It's like it's a weird, just kind of ball of emotion that you go through, and it humbles yourself, and it makes you very grateful for what you have, and the things at least that I've been through. I recommend people do it. It sounds fucking weird, but I definitely recommend. Not just because it's October and Halloween's my favorite holiday. I would do it year round, man. For sure.
No, I love that, and I appreciate you for that. And we have one right up the road too that has the Jimi Hendrix memorial in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so no, we legit go up there and walk around for the same thing. It's just like humbling, just like you were just saying, just the vibe of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Call it weird. All the listeners call it weird, but me and Carl know what's up.
Yeah, I honestly wish we had more parks and more scenery like it is up in the Northwest. Because we just love being outside. We love being outdoors. My son loves being outside. You know, anything to get him away from wanting screen time on anything, or even myself on screen time. Like anything to just be outside. I'm starting to. I'm gonna start bow hunting. Probably next year, but I'm gonna start kind of practicing and slowly getting equipment. But just to kind of bring it back outside and bring it kind of full tilt. And I think there's a lot of people are getting so involved in technology, and everybody's wanting to code and this and that. It's like I need to do something to kind of just break free of that shit.
Dude, this is the first time I'm on Skype. Like I'm so tired.
And Skype is probably like I've had a few people be like, on Skype, is that still around? Is that a thing? I was like, I don't know, dude. It works best for me, and I don't know.
No, that's cool. But,
yeah.
And Instagram. My close friends give me shit all the time because I'm always posting stupid shit on there.
See, but it's good though. Like creating content is definitely different than constantly taking in content. For sure. Like, and I'm not saying
there's two sides of it.
Exactly. And there are definitely influential people online and Instagram or whatever. But there's a lot of bullshit. But if you're creating more content, you're at least being productive. Yeah. And creating content does not mean being a fucking troll and going to, that's not creating content. And, you know, it's doing. That's all right. He can do that. But yeah, like I enjoy, like I probably don't, I'm probably not on Instagram enough, like of sharing kind of my times with my family and other things. I'm actually trying to do it more, but at the same time, I think I'm going to get rid of my Facebooks at the end of the year and kind of slim everything down. And,
I don't really like Facebook too much. There's just so much garbage on there.
Yeah, not a fan. Not really a fan. So this is a pre heads up to everybody. I'm probably getting rid of Facebook at the end of this year. So yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and with mine, I feel like with the content that I put out on Instagram, as I also continue on this journey of doing my personal training, I'm really interested in like sports specific type of training. And so I like to get my creative juices flowing with like the movements in paintball is very unconventional. Yeah. Because like what you learn with like speed and techniques of agility and stuff like that changes when you put a gun in your hand. Right. You know, and the separation between your upper body and lower body. So I get like real nerdy with like trying to like figure out ways to break movements down and train that way. And then so like I think coming up in 2019, want to find some way to bring more content just to grow paintball as well, like let people know like we're athletes out here doing work as well, you know. And so if that's one thing that I can contribute, that's kind of where my social media goes as well.
So I have an idea. This was kind of something that I wanted to do. I just don't think I have the time for it. And I don't know if I'm going to have the time because I have a second child on the way. So
congratulations.
Thank you. But the idea that I had was doing just these little, not these super long like YouTube clips, but doing an individual drill clip and maybe even breaking that drill down into these individual things. So like, let's say I want to teach somebody how to hip slide into a corner or into a secondary or something like that. Like I would just do like maybe even a 1.5, 2-minute video on proper hip slide. And then you can take that little clip and break everything else down that you would try and teach. And now that maybe that 20 or maybe that 5 to 10 minute video is now a 2-minute video or 2.5-minute video. And then now you can have that much more content broken down, and then it'll pop up. You can tag it with like hip slide, paintball, whatever. And that's a lot. I feel like a 2 to 5 minute video can be so much more impactful than like, let's say a 10-15 minute video. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Instagram.
The young kids' attention spans.
Yeah. Feed right into it.
Yeah. 2 minutes, boom. Like anything longer than that, they've lost interest already. So I kind of have been gravitating towards that as well, kind of with just highlights. But I take it even further back than the field and like what I do in the gym to enhance my movements on the field, right? If that makes any sense. So it's like I'm not doing so much of, because I do get out at the field and like to get creative with some of my drills with like resistance bands and stuff like that, but I like to also do all the mobility and like kind of explosive power drills that I do in the gym. Yeah. And like how that transfers over to the field. So that's kind of the direction that I was thinking for myself of going.
Yeah, I had this one video I need to edit and post, but it was a 4-cone drill, and it was really just it was a sprinting drill with because you know there's a lot of stopping, like a lot of side movement stopping and cutting and everything like that, and I kind of did about 4 different cone setups to where you would cut at each cone and either cut to the side and then sprint forward or whatever. And I just never got around to like editing it and thinking about it now. Like I have this huge field like 10 minutes away that I could do everything at, but real life just kind of swallowed me up, I guess. But
Well, if you get a minute, you should do that, and then I'll watch it.
there it is. There's the motivation that I need. Well, hey man, let's wrap it up. I think this was a great conversation, dude. I think coming on here, oh, absolutely. I'm stoked that you reached out, and I'm glad to get to know you.
Right on. Thank you.
And anything, and I tell a lot of people this, anything. I'm an open book. If you have any questions or anything like that, dude, don't be afraid to. You are now a friend. Even if even if I didn't know you and you just messaged me, I would call you a friend. But having a conversation with you, it just solidifies that. So it's like I enjoy it, man.
I'm the same. So yeah, homie's in the book. Write it down. I'm doing it. But no, thanks for having me. I was telling my wife how it was just like a pinch me, I was like, oh, Carl got back to me. I'm doing it. Like, let's go.
The hell yeah, man! Everybody has a story, and that's why I love this platform. And you get to hear people's stories because everybody has a different one. But what's nice is that they're all different stories with similarities. Mm-hmm. Everybody can relate. Everybody can relate to something. And
that's really what for me too is just the relationships with people. So like at the field, I'll come holler at you, man, for sure.
Absolutely, dude.
That's what it's about, especially now in my time of day now. It's just like that connection with people. That's what we live for.
Yeah, enjoy and cherish the friendships. For sure. Well, where can people find you, man? What social media platforms and what are the names?
I'm at Paddy Gleason, and that's Paddy. And then Facebook, Paddy Gleason. And then if you see me at the field, please just come holler at me. Say what's up.
Should we call you Paddy or call you Patrick?
I go by Paddy. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll stick to that one.
Yeah, it's all right. But yeah, I mean, as far as I've remembered, I've gone by that, except my family members.
Cool, man. Well, again, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you at World Cup.
Cool. I'll see you there.
All right, man. Safe travels. We'll see you.
Thanks. You too.
Peace. Thank you so much, Patrick, for sitting down. I really enjoyed it, man. It was amazing to hear your story, and how about it, man? He just completely made a 180 on his life, and is now playing on a professional team, just happy as can be, and just positive, man. I get messages from him now, and just kind of it really motivates me. It really does, and I'm stoked to hear stories like this, and to see the way that people's lives change for the good, and have outcomes like this. It's amazing, man. Patrick, good luck, and appreciate you, brother. Take care. All right, guys. Another big thank you to our sponsors, Planet Eclipse. Check them out, planeteclipse.com. They have all kinds of markers over there, like the CS2, the EMAC, the LV 1.5, the LVR, and you guys know the lineup, man. Amazing people, amazing company, and I don't know where I'd be without them, man. They've been 110% supportive anywhere I went, and I couldn't ask for a better sponsorship backing from a company like this. So thank you, Planet. Also, Mike over at Charm City Paintball. Make sure you guys hit him up on Facebook or Instagram. Get some new headgear. If you play paintball, you have headgear. Get it from Mike. Nothing better, man. Super sweet guy. Amazing company. Quality product. Charm City Paintball. And last but not least, we are brought to you by Carbon Paintball. Again, I wear all the SC base layers. I've seen the pack. I've seen people wearing the pack. Nothing but good things. The SC pack has the comfort air pad in the back that actually conforms to your back as you pump it up. Super slim design, and it's for the speedsters, man. It's speed loading. It's the loop design to where you don't have anything covering your pods, and they don't fall out, nothing like that. Make sure you check them out, carbonpaintball.com. Again, guys, if you are going to go over there and check something out and go to the checkout, use promo code capital TPOP at checkout, and you will get 10% off your entire order. Your entire order. So, check them out, carbonpaintball.com. And everybody out there who is listening, thank you to you. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening, man. It's been an amazing journey, and I will continue the podcast for as long as I enjoy it. And I enjoy it more and more with every person that I have on and every podcast that I do. So even though I may be retiring at World Cup, I still plan on doing this. I still plan on keeping up with the tournament game and seeing what's going on. I'm gonna miss it, man. I'm definitely gonna miss it. But this is something that will kind of keep me, somewhat wrapped up in the game. So I hope y'all continue to listen and enjoy and give me feedback and all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much. Please, again, do not text and drive. Keep your eyes on the road. Listen to podcasts. Open your mind. Bring your thoughts out and live life. Enjoy life, man. Love y'all. And we'll see you again here soon on the Playing On Podcast. Peace.